What other assailants do we have other than over heaven?
Let's see here. What's another comically powerful stand?
This feels like we're just playing Death by AI, but
We should play
for
Death by
everybody else
AI.
on the show.
We should play.
Alright. I'm multitasking right now. I'm working on a mod.
All right.
You're grounded.
Okay, so
I apologize, sir.
let's say Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Fuck.
I don't know what Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap does. I don't know what Filthy Act at Reasonable Price does.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
right. Yeah, get their fucking place.
amusing February 14th. I don't know if that's the day Valentine's Day is on.
I think it might be. Hold on. Would you say 14th?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 14th.
Okay,
I
so
didn't know
amusing.
Valentine had a day named after him.
So amusing 14th of February's Filthy X at a reasonable price. He can travel to alternate dimensions, and normally that doesn't do a whole lot. But he has a one-shot condition where if he brings another version of you from another dimension and you come into contact with that version, you are both atomized, effectively.
Mm-hmm. So, just gone for erased from
Yeah,
existence, basically.
you are erased.
Mm-hmm.
Mass production Avas, there's 9 of them, so that's 9 different opportunities to get at him.
Yeah, what?
There's actually something that I
He
love
goes,
so
he just
much about,
brings... Are all of the mass production Avas essentially the same being? Like, could he bring one and have it work on any of them?
They work as a unit,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all effectively the exact same. But it's like saying if you had a bunch of clones of you and they're all the exact same being as you.
I think in that scenario, grabbing a clone of you would work. I think that's because it is effectively has the same, like... Actually, no, because it works. Valentine says that it works because no two versions of one person can exist at the same time. So,
So in that stance, that would mean that they're made up of the exact same atoms, and that's like, is that the same principle as like, time
Yeah.
travel passwords? These Evangelions, they're made from separate materials to make copies of each other.
Yeah, in that case, then I think he would have to take him out one by one, but I also think he totally could, is the thing.
Yeah, but what's he gonna do when Ray's anti-AT field?
He's not. He's going to just stay out of it and summon another mass production Ava.
He have to come back to bring in the other.
He might not have to, actually. He can just send things to other dimensions. He doesn't have to come back with it.
So, well, then, and while he's in that other dimension, he's sending those things back. They're gonna raise their anti-AT fields, and
he goes in there. He has a spear. He has a spear, and he throws it at them, and it collides with their anti-AT fields and sends them to another dimension. Because, okay, so how D4C works...
For all 9 of them, is he going to be able to do that in time?
Yes.
Before they raise?
He has a gun. He canonically carries a gun. He could just shoot them and send them. Because, okay, so how D4C works. In order to travel to another dimension, he has to get... They describe it as being caught between two things. Like, and that is a very loose definition. Like, it goes from he can... like throw a flag on someone is the one he does a lot, and then when they're stuck between the flag and the ground, or even he gets caught between water and the ground, he gets caught between a train and a strand of his hair and gets sent to the dimension. So it can be pretty much anything. So I imagine shooting him would send him pretty well.
Presumably AT fields and anti-AT fields transcend dimensions in that sense, because they transcend both the physical realm and the mind.
It's still part of them, though. If it collided with that, it would be able to send them to another dimension.
Theoretically, the anti-AT fields would be able to interact with him, even if he himself is between dimensions. So, would he be able to shoot all 9 of them? Because I think bullets don't travel instantly. Especially because the mass production Avas are 70 meters tall, and they're all spread out from each other.
He doesn't need to hit him. He can hit him in the foot.
it still takes travel distance for the bullets to hit them because they're going to be far away from each other.
He can hit it. I have trust. I have faith in my president.
He can hit it, but it's going to take a second for the bullet to go from his gun to
A
their
very
foot.
brief amount of time that won't really matter because he still hits them.
Yeah, but for 9 of them, for like 1 or 2 or 3, yeah, he could do it.
But there's 9 of them.
He would have to reload because he carries a revolver. So.
Yeah. So if it's a revolver, it's a 6-shooter.
Mm-hmm. But hear me out. Valentine, what he can do is he can fly. He can't fly. I don't know why I said that. He can teleport to their dimension.
Evas can fly, and they can do it pretty fast. So what if they're just flying?
But they're
in the air?
not. The mass production Avas aren't waiting for the president of the United States from hundreds of years ago to appear and shoot them in the foot. They're not waiting for that. They don't know that's going to happen.
He's waiting for them to drop on the ground. He's not gonna know until he gets there. They could be like in the air when he gets there. And speaking of that, if he teleports to them while they're there, then he's just gonna be in the sky and he's gonna fall from the sky.
He
to the
doesn't
ground.
teleport to them specifically. He teleports to their dimension.
So then he'd have to find the secret location that the mass production Avas are being housed.
Well, in this scenario, they're coming after him, right?
Yeah, in this universe, yes. And then what about the other one?
In the other one, it's probably the same thing. If he's going, there are very minor differences between some universes. Like we are shown multiple times that there's a version of the Steel Ball Run universe that is essentially exactly the same, but instead of collecting corpse parts, they're collecting diamonds.
Well, here's fucking Sonic. Okay. Here's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Let's say then the other timeline is the mangas, because the end of Evangelion also happened in the mangas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much about the mangas, but it's basically the same, except the main difference in that moment is that Shinji actually gets there in time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, even when he does that, and he destroys the mass production Avas for a second time, they still get back up, and then he destroys them for a third time, and they again get back up because the mass production Avas just can't be put down.
They can if they're erased from reality.
So here's the thing. So he goes there, right? And he teleports there, and the only difference now is that Unit 1 is also there. So it's the same scenario.
Who's to say he's teleported to the manga? I will continue to hear out your hypothetical, but
Spread out in that moment, they would be
Like, at least 2 miles apart from each other. They are really spread out. And
he has to
look at them. And this is in the midst of a battle, so they'd be, like, running around, too. He could teleport in there and immediately get stomped on because they're, like, running around fighting Unit 1 and Unit 2.
he would have to be fast. But I think it's plausible to assume that Valentine can show up, basically just have any object that he wants fall on any part of them, and then immediately go away. And effectively,
So what's the size limit for if he's just gonna have something fall, then what's big enough to
like
fall
I
on the
said, no, but like I said, there's a scene that shows like pretty much the extent of this, where a strand of his hair gets caught underneath a wheel of a train, and he's able to go to a different dimension.
Oh my. Okay, maybe he let's say for argumentative sake, he can shoot a mass production Ava and it's teleported to the other reality.
Mhm.
Deadass forgot to undeafen.
there.
Does it just teleport into the mass production Ava of the other reality?
It teleports to a place of Valentine's choosing between two objects in the other dimension.
So he could just teleport them into the other mass production Avas?
Effectively, yes, he could.
So
And like I said, if he gets those two to touch, they just stop.
So he quickly Arthur Morgan's 6 of them.
Yep.
straight into the other reality, and so that's 6 down immediately because they're
And then
teleported
he
straight-
goes to another dimension where there aren't Avas, or at least where they're not. He goes to the freaking end of the movies. I don't know.
the final timeline.
He reloads. He goes back and he deals with the other ones, or just does like whatever else.
He goes in that time that it took him to reload. The remaining 3 mass production Avas in a panic have begun instrumentality, which is what they do in the manga too when they begin to panic because they're losing. So
He's not in that. He doesn't have to go to that dimension then. He can go to a different one where they don't know he's there and find the other ones that he didn't shoot before and send those ones back.
They all look the exact same as each other.
But he knows what positions they were in for the most part.
Glemke. Not Glemke. Bullet. Look how mad you're making me. You're making me mistake your name. Bullet.
I can see how mad your profile picture is.
You're gonna go there, and you're gonna recognize the position
Of 9 robots that are each like 2 miles apart from each other.
That's a big distance apart. He can find out which one is which.
Basically it's a area that every direction looks the exact same.
He can think of like which one he shot and just shoot the ones he didn't shoot before.
Bullet. You know how much you're pushing?
Do you know how
this-
smart JoJo characters are?
Let's pause for a moment. In a JoJo episode, let's say if this were an episode of JoJo, do you realistically imagine a JoJo character going to another reality where there's 9 giant robots miles apart from each other and takes all 9 of them out, and if they're not the main character?
He's the main antagonist.
He's not the main character, though.
Well, he does some stuff Johnny couldn't. Namely walking.
Do you imagine? Are you capable
Of imagining this happening in an official episode of, let's say that a JoJo Evangelion crossover. Can you imagine them being like, Valentine does this? Valentine does this elaborate plan to fucking take care of all 9 mass production Avas, and do you imagine that actually working?
I can imagine a reality in which that is the outcome of that fight.
Bullet, that is...
What if
That is...
there's an infinite amount of dimensions, according to Valentine himself? So what if, hear me out, he goes under his funny little American flag and he goes to a dimension where he already won and takes that Valentine's place?
Well, how's he going to do that?
He's going to leave and go to a dimension where he already beat them. Because that dimension has to exist, logically.
What if that Valentine wants to remain there?
He doesn't. Valentine can just kill the other one and take his place.
and what that other one kills him instead?
He won't.
How do you know?
Valentine is the only Valentine with D4C. At least our Valentine is the only version with D4C. Actually, no. Valentine can go to that world and kill himself.
There's an infinite number of dimensions, and you're telling me there's only one where D4C is in Valentine's possession.
Yes, that is confirmed.
An infinite number.
Yes.
An infinite number, and only one has D4C.
Yes. That is non-disputable. That is officially confirmed.
Let me say something. Let's keep this in stuff they've actually done before. Has Valentine ever thought to or have done that?
Done what? Gone to a dimension where he's already won?
Yes.
No. Actually, I rephrase. I'm going to rephrase myself. He doesn't kill the other Valentine and take his place. He goes to that dimension and he kills himself. And then we've shown, because that's how he does his stupid little friggin' revive myself trick, is he dies, and right before he dies, he brings another Valentine in, and as he dies, his soul and his stand transfer to that Valentine. That's how he does his stupid little revive trick.
That exact thing in the show? Has he ever gone to another universe, killed himself, and become the other Valentine in the show?
Well,
Or
no,
the manga?
because his goal is in the actual in the base world, as it's called.
So then he's not gonna do that.
But his goal at that point, his goal is just defeat the Avas in this scenario, right?
He's gonna think long term. He's still gonna be like, well, I want to do my things in this world.
I'm just gonna take care of these guys.
He waits.
So
He just goes about his presidently duties in this world, and then
he just has one goal in life
is to defeat the mass production Avas. They just stumbled on his doorstep while he was plotting how to kill fucking
Jodio or whoever the fuck he's fighting. So he's not just gonna go. This is bullshit. He's not just gonna go to another reality
and win that way when he wants to win in this reality. Because his whole life isn't just I have one goal and that's to win over the mass production Avas. He's the president of the United fucking States.
He can be the president of the United States in the new universe.
Huh? In the manga. How does he do that, huh?
Because his goal is to achieve power by getting all the corpse parts, and all the corpse parts are in that universe.
Bullet.
That part of the discussion, you cannot make that argument. That is, you cannot. That is not an argument because that makes no fucking sense.
So you're saying that his goal has to be, so his goal is to defeat the Avas in the base world.
Bullet, he's never done that in the manga.
Would never done what? Just ignored the base world and gone somewhere else?
Has he? I don't think that would have happened in the manga.
That doesn't happen because his goal is in the base world. He's where he needs to be.
He has goals in the base world. Imagine this. He has goals in the base world.
He wants to do stuff because he's a human being. He's been raised in his entire life. He has more to his life than just a single fucking thing. So, if the mass production Avas come up to his door, say he's like, "Oh damn, I guess I gotta drop everything and go to another reality." No, he's gonna want to win.
You have a point. So then we'll rephrase and say that he needs to defeat the Avas in the base world. Then, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So then, in that case, he does what we've been talking about already. He just goes and throws their alternate universe selves at them.
Bullet, as in the manga, he shot them, then had to reload, so he goes to another reality and then reloads there. And
he has never done exactly that, but there are multiple instances of him going to another reality, grabbing a version of a person, and throwing them back into the base world. He does that a lot.
So, he was defeated, right?
He was, in fact, defeated.
So, when he was defeated, why didn't he just...
He physically could not. He did not have time, and he was actively disintegrating, basically.
So would he have time then to avoid what is basically waves moving at the speed of light that instantly liquefy you and remove your soul from your body?
If he's out of their range, yeah. That has a range on it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The way you described it is he would reload. He'd take out 6 of them and he'd go to another dimension to reload, right?
Yeah. He goes to a dimension where the mass production Avas aren't.
He's done that reloading. Here's the thing that they did do in the manga. In the manga, when the mass production Avas, it became clear that they wouldn't be able to defeat Unit 1, they started instrumentality early. So if 6 of them just magically get destroyed, they become desperate, and they immediately begin to form the tree of life, and their anti-AT field its range is dramatically risen. And so then he comes back right as
he
they're
doesn't come
initializing
back.
The tree of life.
He comes back after they're dead. He doesn't come back while they're all still there. He does this. He effectively kills all of them from the other dimension. So let's say we have base world and like world B, then world C.
It's time though, right? Because he has 6 shots in his revolver.
Mm-hmm.
And so 6 shots in his revolver, and then he's gonna go to another reality to reload. while he's reloading, because remember, mass production Avas, they're pretty fast. They're considerably faster than a normal human being.
Mm-hmm.
And so because they'd probably start this upon the first one being shot. They'd say, "Oh fuck, one of our guys just got instantly, from their perspective, disintegrated." So they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, we gotta start instrumentality, or else we're gonna fucking fail our mission." So then they all begin to fly in the air. But let's say, even though they're flying, he has perfect accuracy and he's able to shoot all 6 of them in time. He goes to his other reality to reload. The 3 remaining mass production Avas begin the construction of the Tree of Life.
Okay,
And
hang on.
so
I want to specify the scenario that's happening here in my mind, but I will hold on to your thoughts because I am interested in continuing that. But what's effectively happening is we'll say that there's 4 worlds at play here. There's the base world where these Avas approach Valentine. Then there is world B, where Valentine finds alternate universe versions of those Avas. He shoots 6 of those. Then he goes to world C, where there are no Avas there, and reloads. Then he goes to another world, world D probably, where there are the same Avas, but none of them have been beaten at this point, and he shoots the other ones that he missed before.
To believe the existence of a world D where he goes and pinpoints the exact Ava, because you said that they're almost the exact same but not entirely. What if their positions, like mass production Ava 1 and mass production Ava 5's positions, are swapped?
That is a possibility. He would have to. But what are the chances if there are 9 of them, right? There's 9. What are the chances that he doesn't hit at least 3 of the ones that he missed before?
This is the shit that the political debate should have been about.
Because there are in each world there are 3 that he doesn't hit. So what are the chances that he just?
So he goes to another world and he takes out 2 of them.
What?
If there's
Where did you get 2?
Small difference between them. And that's something that I imagine would even happen in JoJo 2, is a villain making a mistake like that, where the positions of them are slightly changed. Like, I can very easily imagine that in my head as a JoJo moment of fucking Joseph being like, checkmate, and then it's just like fucking Valentine goes, ugh, and then the fucking
Valentine versus Joseph.
And then she explains while time is fucking stopped or something about how he got the positions right, but he didn't count for one thing, and that's in the alternate reality their positions were swapped.
But that's the thing, is that, like I said, he's shooting 6 of them at a time, and there are 9 of them. So that's only 3 that he doesn't shoot. What are the chances that those 3 are the exact same ones that he hit before? Or you know what I'm getting at. It's hard to explain, but you know what I'm getting at.
Always 100% of the time had pinpoint accuracy when teleporting another version of someone else to the base reality.
Yes. Consistently when he does that, they appear exactly where he wants them to.
Exactly where he wants them to?
Yes.
So is exactly where he wants to, is he predicts where they're going to be, or he just knows where they are at all times?
He knows where they are because they're in the same spot usually.
Well, because if 6 of them are taken down, then the other 3 are gonna begin flying.
Mm-hmm.
And so Valentine isn't gonna know their exact locations because they're gonna be in the air flying.
But these things, they're like AT fields or anti-AT fields. They have a huge range. So does he need to bring them into the same spot for those AT fields to touch is the thing.
Well, how is the anti-AT fields aren't physical things; they're waves. They're
but then, how do they have so much? How do they have a specific range if they're not in some semblance actually there?
It's because that's just how they affect each other. Like, to disable an AT field, the waves of an anti-AT field touch that AT field.
So then the waves can touch each other.
No, because think about it. So if that worked, then every single, because technically in Evangelion, everyone's united through their, like, if their AT fields are dropped, then they all become united. But they're all like, Earth apart from each other, But there's people on opposite Earth from each other. So
Technically, their AT field waves.
are all interacting with each other, but yet they're not fucking. Their AT fields themselves are separated from each other because the AT fields themselves. Cause it's like if you it's just shooting waves from the base. It's like the AT field is the gun, and then the waves are the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
It's like, I guess the anti-AT field waves would like destroy each other, but then the AT field is going to continue producing more waves, and they're just going to, I guess, just meet in the middle and destroy each other. But then they're not going to do anything more than that because they're both continuously firing off waves.
Okay, so if that's not going to work, but wait, so the Avas are like they're a hive mind pretty much. Actually, now I'm curious what would happen if he did bring like a hive mind of another world into the same hive mind but in a different world. How would
That's
that work? That probably just,
confirmed, but presumably they don't have a mental AT field, so probably they're hive mind.
mm-hmm. So let's say he just suddenly brings another one of them there while all the other ones are flying around, and this one has just been suddenly teleported. It'll probably want to regroup with those other Avas, right? Because it probably.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Say that again.
So we've seen multiple times Valentine can bring someone to another world without them even really knowing what happened. So this Ava is suddenly brought to another world, and from its perspective, it just suddenly appears, and suddenly all of its brethren are flying away. It's going to want to regroup with them.
Yeah, but it's not going to go up to them. Never once do the mass production Avas touch each other.
besides when like Unit 2 shoves them into each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time they ever touch.
What would happen if a stand touched an AT? No, that's a dumb question. If
What
the
happened if
if
Stan touched me?
if a stand touched the anti-AT field, it would probably just kill the user. I'm stupid.
Probably a stand would be in the same vein as just an AT field within itself, like a mental
Yeah,
AT.
probably.
So the anti-AT field is touched and it'd be, eviscerated and
Fantified.
honor.
Right. So, I guess it's all about like getting them into position. That's the main struggle that Valentine would have here, because we've established that he can take out the first 6, and then the other 3.
He could do it because the mass production Avas aren't particularly smart,
Mm-hmm.
but I doubt he'd do it on his own without already like knowing everything about them.
Mhm.
I feel like if he on his own were to take out all mass production Avas, he'd have to already know how they work and everything about them.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't do that, then he'd need someone else's help.
Funny Valentine works with Nerve because he's the government.
So, well, not Nerve, because Nerve doesn't know. It'd be
Right,
Zayla.
Zayla.
Let's say he goes. Here's a way he could be.
What is
he
the
goes-
relationship that Zayla would have with the President of the United States?
Somehow, let's say, does Valentine have good vision?
Yeah.
So the way he could win this on his own would be he'd just barely notice the word Zele on the back of one of the mass production Avas next to the AAA battery symbol that they have on there for some reason. Because
Right.
I gave it
The Duracell.
So he notices that, he's like, I wonder what that is, and then he spends like the next hour hopping between realities looking for Zele, and then I guess he goes to reality where Zele's willing to open up their secrets, and then they give him, and here's hoping that the schematics are the exact same as the one from the base reality.
I imagine they would be.
Then theoretically in that he could beat them on his own.
So you think he has to have a perfect knowledge of how they work in order to evaporate them?
Yeah. If he doesn't have that, then he could do it, but if he did, he'd have to have backup. He couldn't do it on his own. Like, I can imagine if you bring like the full cast of Part 8, then without any knowledge, if they just suddenly showed up, they'd be able to take him out.
The cast of which part?
Like Part 8, isn't that what he's from?
He's from Part 7.
Alright, so the entire cast of Part 7.
Okay, so I don't know if we I mean, it depends on which which version of Tusk Johnny has mostly.
Because I know that stands are super overpowered, so I'm sure if you brought in a bunch
I
of
mean,
stands...
most of the Part 7 cast doesn't have stands. Or at least they don't have super useful stands.
Alright, then Part 8.
Wait, what if Diego turns it? What if Diego turns the Ava into a dinosaur?
What happens to its... Wait, how does Diego do that, real quick?
He spreads dino AIDS, and he... that's just a term I've heard. It's just like a virus, basically.
Throw range with those dino.
I hate it when I spread my dino AIDS.
So
How far does he throw those?
he doesn't throw anything. That was a dumb reference to something else. Basically, what he does is, how does it work? It's not explained super well, but basically, there's like a certain radius around him in which he can turn anything that's infected with his little dino virus into a dinosaur.
How does he infect them with the dino virus, and how big is
It
the
touches
radius?
them.
So how does
I need to reread it. I don't remember exactly how it infects them.
Touch him. How do they get to him to touch him? How
I
do they
think
get to touch them?
I'm fairly certain that it's literally just being near Diego for a certain amount of time will eventually make scary monsters work. Direct contact makes it work faster.
I wanted to say that because being next to a mass production Ava for a long time means death.
Oh. So Diego can't turn them into... What if he just makes a lot of like random objects into dinosaurs and he makes all of the dinosaurs run towards them until one of them eventually touches the Ava?
The Avas are just... They're again, there's 9 of them, and they're
But now, one of them is a dinosaur completely under Diego's control.
Is he gonna be able to take on 9 experienced combative robots?
We know that one experienced combative robot can defeat all of them, right? Well, actually, no, that's fucking stupid. Never mind. I'm realizing that one of the Avas probably couldn't. One of the mass production Avas probably couldn't kill another one.
Of that was that they were defeated, but then right as
that I immediately realized that. I was like, well, we saw one Ava take down all of them. Then I remembered what happens immediately after that. I was like, oh wait.
One of the darkest.
Like, right, that doesn't work.
And again, that also happens in the manga. So the closest they come to being defeated is in the manga, where Raide's Unit 2 defeats them, and then they're about to kill her. Unit 1 arrives just in time and beats them. And I don't really know the details of the manga, but then I know he defeats them, they get back up, and then he defeats them again. And then after that, there's like, all right, well, we're not going to be able to beat this guy even if we just keep getting back up. So then they start human instrumentality.
Sisyphus is proud of your struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because presumably the mass production Avas, at least any other like physical thing in the Evangelion universe, presumably cannot take on the mass production Avas, except for like stuff in like the
imaginary universe. Yeah.
You're Longinus or something, or like Lilith. But then Lilith only comes to life when the mass production Avas come together.
Mm-hmm. So Dino AIDS won't do him in, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we cannot see Diego turning a mass production Ava into a dinosaur and having it kill the other ones. That just doesn't work.
And giving it AIDS.
Very sad. Very sad that Diego can't just give them AIDS and kill them. Diego's on his dub Shinji arc. But Valentine, on the other hand, I think we came to a pretty even consensus that if Valentine has, like, prep time, essentially, if Valentine knows what he's up against, he can probably take them out with, like, some time in between.
What he's up against, then he could take them on, but would he ever know exactly what they...
Well, that's the joy of, like, power scaling fights like this, right? Is that you can think of different scenarios. And In there's a scenario in which Valentine has no clue what's happening. These things jump him out of nowhere and he dies immediately. There's another scenario where he knows what's coming after him because he's probably gotten, a warning from some other character in a random timeline that he's seen with Team 4C.
But unless they told him exactly how the mass production work.
But we're saying maybe, say there's a world where a character comes over, says, hey, there's this thing called Sailor, go check it out. He goes and checks it out. He finds a version of them that's willing to spill their secrets to the President of the United States. And
as everyone should.
As everyone should. This got really political.
Under the circumstances, then yes, he can defeat the mass production Avas.
Mm-hmm. Although, here's the thing that's confusing for all of us. How is Hang on, I need to investigate real quick.
Okay.
Give me a minute. How is the 23rd President of the United States encountering Sayla?
Well, I'd like to say that even if those infinite number of realities that only one D4C exists in Valentine, that there'd be no realities where Zele is willing to open up to anyone, since that's the whole point of their organization, is that they don't open up to anyone. But I'll humor you and say that there's at the very least one reality where
they spill their secrets to the president.
Yeah.
Not even to the president, just it's like the evil version of them where they like a fucking they just broadcast everything on the news like a PSA.
He's like, man, I need to find these secrets. He goes to one dimension and there's just like a broadcast happening in Times Square or something about how the mass production Avas work.
Angels can't read or understand words, so we're gonna spill our entire plans.
Yeah, right. I realize how much racism towards angels happens. Like, knowing what an angel is, the racism is kind of crazy.
Yeah, then you also they pop out. I sure remember Shinji literally asked Asuka, like, and funny enough, it's Asuka, the German who's always flamed for being a Nazi, is the one to say that you don't need to think about it. The angels are our enemies.
Oh God, you're right.
Shinji was just like, well, why are they given divine names if there are enemies?
I love how simply saying the words "dirty deeds done dirt cheap" turned into this whole 20-minute debate.
Because you brought it up when we were asking what should we put up against mass production Avas next. You said dirty deeds done dirt cheap. So, but yeah, so basically Valentine probably doesn't win this, but there is a theoretical universe in which Valentine can come out on top.
There is at least a few, probably more than one, theoretical universes where Valentine could take down the mass production Avas.
And we safely said that Valentine can at the very least kill a mass production Ava. That's pretty much set in stone.
If he knew nothing about them, he could at the very least kill one of them.
Yeah, because all he has to do at that point is go to this battle in another world, just say, hey, I need to borrow that real quick, and then throw it at the other one.
I mean, because at least by Evangelion standards, different realities have different time points, so he could, in another reality, the mass production Avas could have just not been deployed yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm so glad that I'm keeping track of everything and totally understanding.
In time points, presumably the mass production Avas were only made, like, right before the events of the end of Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
Because they say very late in the show that Zele was angry that they halted their, plans to construct the next series of Evangelions. That's presumably why there's like, all right, then we'll just make a mass production model, since we no longer have Lilith to make it off of.
Has anyone? Do we have like the result of all this? Like, have we still decided?
The result of all of this is Valentine probably loses, but there's a world where he can, like, with some prep time, is able to defeat them all. And we've decided that he can decidedly take down one.
If Valentine is Batman, then he can take
If
down the
Valentine
Master
is, yeah, I was hoping someone was gonna
It
make
kind of
that.
reminds me of like how in All-Star Battle, that ability where he heals himself, I love it so much because I don't know exactly what it is, but is it like he's replacing himself with himself from another dimension
Exactly,
that's like
yeah.
completely healed? Yeah, I love that idea so much.
Because basically, I said before, but how Valentine's little resurrection trick works is right before he dies, what he'll do is he can just, like, basically just tell D4C, hey, go get another version of me and bring him over here. And then basically, he dies, his corpse gets, I don't know, stuck between two objects, or sometimes just coming out between his corpse and the ground will be just another version of him. And what happens is immediately after that, I don't even think his soul transfers. I'm pretty sure that the original Valentine in the story has been dead for a long time. Because basically, like, when he dies, his stand, his will, and his memories transfer over to another Valentine. So that is effectively the same
wait, I
one.
just realized,
But Valentine is totally still dead.
I just realized something. Does that theoretically mean that he can live forever if you wanted to? Just replace
Yeah,
himself?
he
every
absolutely
time he
can.
dies? Oh my god, I want D4C now. This is probably one of my favorite stands right now.
Dirty Deeds is a very cool stand.
mass production was at him, and too bad, so sad.
I will say that Valentine's resurrection trick will almost definitely not work at that point, because Diego explicitly points out if we can kill him instantly, he can't revive.
Why would Diego say that? What an asshole.
He can say theoretically he's able to get his stand to go away if the stand's caught in the anti-AT field.
Yeah, at that point he's dead. His resurrection trick is out of the question for this. Even if he does, like, he doesn't get a chance to, because the whole point is he realizes, oh, I'm dying, I need to go get another version of me. So if you kill him instantly, he just can't do that. Unless he already has one there, but what are the chances that he has two of him? Actually, now that I think about it, he might kill himself to switch at one point.
If he has the second one with him there, then all the vibrations in the ground from the mass production is like around cause the two to trip into each other, and then they explode.
It doesn't apply to Valentine.
What? That's bullshit.
It kind of is, but yeah, it doesn't count when he does it.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, Valentine is fully able to interact with himself from alternate worlds.
That is straight up bullshit.
I guess it's his stand. I guess it can.
It's my stand. It's my stand. It's my rules.
Yeah, it's my rules.
I don't know why there's a very specific rule with D4C that you can't bring money into other universes.
Fuck.
Why?
So they give him all these infinite possibilities with this stand, and it's like, nah, you can't have infinite wealth though.
Well, it's because it destroyed the economy. If he did that, then there would be.
Actually, I think that's like how I like to interpret it, because that's funny to imagine there's just a completely arbitrary restriction. But I'm pretty sure what that's trying to say is you can't, because if you do, you'll probably just die, because there's so much money circulating in the world that the chances that you'll come into contact with the money in your pocket right now are really high, and you'll probably just, like, explode. Because then, like, those two will collide and erase each other. And when things collide, it makes, like, a small explosion type shit, so.
Shit.
So, yeah, you shouldn't bring money with you is what it should say. But I don't know.